Howdy folks, this is Checkers, and this of course is Fallout 76, and we are here. This is, I believe, the November 4th beta, so the Sunday, part of the long one. And this is more or less where the stream left off. I cut out some of my maintenance back at my camp, but I may leave that in later as we work on other things. What I noticed in a lot of gameplay videos is everybody wants to show you the action and the excitement, but nobody wants to show you the dirty underbelly. Not dirty underbelly, but, you know, the unexciting things. Well, technically dirty underbelly. It's just stuff you need to do. And I don't want you to get the feeling that it is all just running and gunning. Here we are actually close to where my camp was. My camp eventually did get moved by the system, I think. I'm not sure why it disappeared. It lasted for, I think until the last day of beta. When I logged in, I noticed it wasn't there anymore. Or it might have been there when I started, and then I kept having to log in and log out because there were sound issues. So we've just hit level 14. I may not take advantage of that right at the moment because I still hear someone moving around. And, well, not a good time to be caught on your leveling up screen. Okay. And reload. Check some bodies, gather up all the goodies. In the past, I have not had a lot of trouble gathering up ammo. I keep a variety of weapons on me so that when I'm running low on one sort of ammo, I can pick up some of another kind. I can switch weapons and then use that, and I'll pick up the one that I was running low on, mainly from bodies and from containers. Here we're going to collect some dirty water, which we'll then have to process into boiled water. I haven't gotten to purified water yet. The only purified water I get is what I pick up in the world. But for the most part, boiled water will just give you a little bit of rads. If you use dirty water, you're going to get rads, and you're probably going to get a disease or parasites or something that you really don't want. Kick on our Pip-Boy light, grab a clown hat because why not, and a flip lighter. As we go on, if we continue deeper and deeper into the beta, you're going to see me pick up less and less stuff. The problem is, and as we go back to my camp, we may be able to see why and how, your stash is limited to 400 pounds. So the first thing I usually do, come back, scrap all the junk first. It reduces the weight some, and then anything as a weapon or armor that I picked up that I don't really want, like that clown hat, I'll scrap that. Come here. Now you can see on the right hand side at the bottom of that list, the 395 out of 400, you rack up the storage weight really fast, even if you scrap almost everything down into junk. And not much you can really do about that. Hopefully they're going to increase the size of the stash. I know that Pete Hines said that he was unaware of a stash limitation. I know he's aware of it now, and he said that they were looking at what to do about that. I presume it's a matter of server space. Maybe storing all of that extra stuff is taking up a lot of space on their servers. I don't know. He said that there was a good reason, assuming that it's not just to sell you storage space in their Atom shop. It's probably a server thing. So here we've taken crack shot, and we will get a little bit more accuracy with our pistols and be about it all once more. Now, I do level up in the field. I don't just come back to camp to level up, but I don't ever level up in combat. This isn't like Fallout 4 where you can level up and heal in the middle of a battle, or Skyrim, you could do that as well. If you stop right now and go to your level screen, nothing outside of you is going to stop. So if there was a bad guy out there, they're just going to burn you right on down. Bobbleheads, I don't think I focus on one here, but I will tell you that they are temporary. They are not a permanent thing. There's our boiled water. And we've got 3, some fire cap soup. And you can see some of the foods that you create, the meats have life expectancies, they have a condition. You know, other things like the older pre-war stuff pretty much doesn't. But if you collect some mole rat meat, or if you whip yourself up some mole rat chunks, they do have a condition, and the condition will go down over time. Eventually it just ends up being spoiled meat, vegetables, or what have you in your inventory, taking up weight, so you're just going to want to drop it. If there is a use for spoiled things, I don't know what it is yet. It's possible there is something, especially in chems maybe, but looks like we needed more water. So back to the pump. Now, I don't have a very built up base yet, because even with all of the junk that I have, I don't have all the junk I need to, 1, build up the base, 2, I don't have all the plans I need to really build up the base very far, and 3, there's a budget for how big your base, your camp can be. I don't know how any of that expands. It's possible it's under charisma. I have spent, probably well over 10-12 hours in the game by this, well, not by this point, but at the point at which I speak, and I still don't know how any of that expands. On the one hand, that's pretty cool because there is much more of the game to learn and to explore. On the other hand, you're not going to see anything super extravagant from me. I've seen some pretty extravagant camps. One fellow I saw, we may or may not see it, cut off a freeway with a large fort. He didn't cut it off so that you couldn't get around it, but it would have been a significant deterrent if, say, a hostile force were trying to pass that area. You may have noticed that I have a veil on. That's part of a quest line. The Initiate of Mysteries up there, which is so far my favorite quest line. Here I'm trying to figure out if I can place... Oh, I'm actually looking at blueprinting, I think. What on earth am I doing? Am I just moving it? No. Oh, I see. We're searching through what we can actually build. Sorry, it's been a while since I actually did this. And it's been a kind of a rough week for me, so my memory might be a little more broken than I prefer. This is what I was looking for, is the Tinker's Workbench. The Tinker's Workbench allows you to make ammo, to turn junk into bulk junk, which I thought, I don't know if we'll get to it in this video, but I did try and make some junk into bulk junk, which I thought might have made it lighter and given me more space. After being stuck at 400 in my camp for a while, I thought, aha, that's what I've been missing. I need to turn all my junk into bulk junk. If it did earn me any space back, it was maybe 3 pounds total. So nothing significant, unless, of course, I did it wrong somehow. So we're looking again at this Initiate of Mysteries quest line. Now I'm trying to figure out where on earth I need to go with it. And I think eventually, for some reason I'm not looking at show on map. I think it might be that it wasn't where I expected it to be from Fallout 4, so I just didn't notice it. You can't take me anywhere sometimes. But eventually, I really do figure out where we need to go. And I think this is when we march off. This darkened area you see basically where my camp is, well, eventually as you get deeper and deeper into it, is hazardous to your breathing. You need to find like a gas mask so that you can breathe safely in the area. And I will actually need to run across one. Not yet, but soon. Are we going after even more water? We are. Them's the realities of the survival aspect of this game. If you don't have water, you're gonna have a problem. I actually do run out of water at one point, and it's a pretty serious debuff. I mean, I was actually at the dangerous limit of thirst, and I think I've been fighting a lot. I hadn't noticed. But we'll check our dirty water supply there. Head back to camp and whip up some more boiled water. And of course it does take weight, but you have to think of it as sort of fuel. If you don't have the fuel capacity when you go out, you aren't going to get very far. If you don't have your water, you really aren't going to get very far. So back to that good old boiled water. Fortunately, it cooks up pretty quick. And remember, you are going to need wood. You can't just collect the water, the ingredients to make food. You need the wood for the fire. So there are wood piles around in the world. You can scrap, of course, weapons to get metal and wood if it has wood in the weapon, if it's a wooden stocked weapon. There are some lumber mills around the world as well where you can pick up good supplies of wood. Here we are in Charleston. And the Hornwright Air Purifier Site number 1. And a fusion core, 3 pounds apiece. But worth their weight in gold if you like running around in power armor. Now, I didn't show it at the beginning of this, but there is a moment where I scrapped a power armor chassis. You can gather chassis just like you could in Fallout 4. The difference is you can't use them as decorations. You can only really have one. Anything more than one is pointless, as far as I can tell. Now, I don't know. I still don't have the ability to make a power armor crafting station. So I can't tell you if I put a chassis down in that station, could I take another one out and use that and still have that one there? I don't know the answer to that. I suspect, though, the answer is no based on how it behaves. If you exit your armor long enough, your power armor goes back into your actual inventory. Fortunately, it only accounts for the weight of the chassis. It doesn't account for the weight of what's on the chassis. So if you have Raider power armor or T45 or T60, I think is the most that I've collected is as high as T60. If you have any of that on the chassis, and I have only leveled up to the point where I can use T45 on the chassis, but when the chassis goes back into your inventory, it doesn't account for all that weight. Just the chassis, which is 10 pounds. Uh-oh. I heard that. And that was the last thing he heard. I really do like the short rifles. Here we go. Sledgehammer, pickaxe, foot lighter, miner, hat and uniform, bottle cap, throw 8 rounds. And because it's free to fast travel to your own camp, even if you're a short distance away, there's, oh, I'm over encumbered. But if I'm a short distance away and it's free, I'll still jump back to the camp, because why not? I'm just looking to drop things off, which is what I'm doing here. I managed to cap my strength at 10 before the beta was over, and it's still not very much weight that you can carry. You can get strength perk cards that do things like, I think right now my ammo, ballistic ammo is 90%, weighs 90% less. My armor, I can't remember, it's a percentage less, significant percentage, but overall it still doesn't make that big of a dent in the weight that you're carrying around. And as we're playing here, I'm still under the assumption that the more junk, the more I collect, the bigger I can build my base. I haven't really quite put together that this 400-pound weight limit in the stash is going to prevent me from doing anything. So I'm going to scrap the things that I'm not going to use. There is just no reason to hang on to things that you absolutely won't use, or that you even think you're not going to use. There may be later on, once you build up your base some, maybe you'll be able to build like weapon racks where you can display weapons, where you can display trophies, but at this point, this early in the game, there is no point in trying to collect things. You will run out of weight so fast. It's unbelievable. Not just the weight you're carrying, but the weight you can keep in your stash. Now, I'm still trying to hang on to some of these outfits, and it's worth noting that there are a significant number of cosmetic outfits, right? If you look on that right-hand side, there are a vast number of these. Oh, I've got another chassis in there. There's my power armor that I haven't reached a level yet. They're grayed out because I can't use them. Like that missile launcher right there, still haven't hit level 20, so I can't use it. A lot of the things that I have stored in here, eventually I don't want to realize that I have to scrap it all, but I am going to have to come to that realization. So you can learn from my pain and just scrap something that you don't think will have an immediate use for you. It's just not worth the weight it's going to take up. That may change if they increase the storage weight on your stash, but at the moment, as the beta ended, the limitations are so severe that, you know, before the end, I'm going to take and clean my stash pretty much out to a couple of high-level weapons that look really interesting, and junk, and some of the cosmetic items, because they only weigh 1/10 of a pound each. Like the Letterman's jacket there is just 0.10 pounds. Bobbleheads are actually fairly heavy. So are the chems. There are, of course, things to lower the weight of chems if you like using chems. I never do, so eventually I'm going to try and sell off all the chems that I have. Nuka-Cola is a bit more enticing in Fallout 76. Not only does it heal you, it has some other advantages. Yes, it will give you rads, but pretty much so does everything else that you can feasibly use at a lower level, except for maybe purified water and some pre-war foods you'll find. Now, part of my thinking here is, aha, if I build some more of my base, if I build some concrete foundations, maybe the weight of that concrete will be subtracted from my stash, and it will make a big difference in how much I can store. But the reality is I'm still trying to figure out how this new workshop mode functions. The keys that you use to get around are not the exact same as Fallout 4. And here we're just looking at all the variations. Most of the variations that I've found for things so far are things that I've found in the world. Like, none of it has come from the Atom Shop. Some of it comes from constructing or deconstructing something. Mostly that's been with weapons and armor, but the actual things that I've found to build in workshop mode have come from plans that you find in, or at least that I have found in the world. Some of them look like papers sort of messily stuffed into a red folder. There's also a teal folder kind of thing that you can find, and that's usually a recipe for food of some sort. And I know that I do get overloaded, over encumbered in Skyrim and Fallout, in Oblivion, and of course in Fallout 76, but I think most people are going to find there's some spoiled food you can see there just taking up weight. Spoiled fruit, we'll drop those, and spoiled vegetables. Again, just looking to do anything to recover our weight. The bubblegum that you get with your perk card packs will stave off hunger and thirst. It'll slow it for like 2 minutes. I think some of the different gums have different buffs that go with it as well. Okay, back on the move again. And I'm not really in a rush for anything. There is so much time. I think this was a 7-hour beta day, which is awesome, you know, and it's the closest experience, I think, to just playing the game, having it be live, which, huzzah, I think is only 4 days from now as I make this recording. But we are back on the move through Charleston, heading into, I think it's the ash or the ash heap here. And I think coming up soon here, we will see the photo mode. I'm going to play around with that a little bit. Oh, hold on. We're going to have to deal with that. So yeah, if you're a streamer or you're a YouTuber and, well, you don't want to get your copyright hits, you may as well learn to edit out the music. There's one of the green recipe folders there, Medex. And I believe there's our wood pile. We're going to get ourselves some more wood for cooking, for construction, what have you. It all is the same wood. It's called wood scraps. And there's some ammo there that I missed again. Can't take me anywhere. And going to try and make for that other cabin. And tomahawks, there are throwing weapons. I noticed something about them in a recent patch, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was. Either, I think it was construction. Uh-oh. I don't really know what got me. It may be the environment, so what I need to do is get that gas mask on that I found earlier. I was warned when I entered the area, but I didn't enter the area in this play session, so that's just me remembering, yeah, I need to put that gas mask on. So we're going to make a picture here using the photo mode. You get to it from the map, and then you kind of have a free move with your mouse there. Or I guess with your controller, you can get into the position you want to get into, select the pose you want, and then get into the exact frame of the shot that you want. And these will now be shown in your loading screens. And work our way around this old Jeep. Get the Pip-Boy light on. Gather some more wood. Check out to the edge of the pier here. Fishing rod. Rad scorpion egg. And I've said this in the past in other gameplay videos in my impressions of Fallout 76. Moment to moment, when you're not working on the quest, when you're just moving through the world, this is no different than Fallout 4. Except that you may be looking for more ingredients, more junk than you would have looked for in Fallout 4. As a survival game, it is more forgiving than Fallout 4. And less forgiving, well, no, it's more forgiving than most of the survival games that I've played, like Ark or Conan. It doesn't have as great a focus on eating and drinking, which, quite honestly, is a bit more realistic. I think most people can go 100 yards without, starving or dying of thirst if they're fully hydrated and well fed. Some games, I think, forget that. I say this having lived a large portion of my life in a desert environment, too. Alright. So I've been through the extremes. I've been through the extremes of heat and the extremes of cold, and I think most survival games don't quite get either one right. The Burning Mine. Some mole rats. Mole rat meat, once you process into mole rat chunks, will give you +1 strength, if I recall correctly. Mole rat broodmother. With meat, hide, gunpowder, and teeth. We'll probably only take the gunpowder and the meat. And that is not my heavy breathing. Nor my gas mask heavy breathing. That is a warning that we are not alone. Okay, this one's a little bit tougher. And getting that sound coming in from the left, warning us that there are more. And an iBot that decided it was going to help us out. I have no idea where it came from. Level 22 mole rat miner. I don't know what level I am, but I'm nowhere near 22 yet. So, if you're careful, if you can maneuver around, get to your stim packs, you can take on much higher level creatures. Okay. Gonna go back to our rifle. Well, the poor iBot did not make it. Trying to find my stim pack. There we go. Miner suit scrap, which has some interesting materials in it. Shotgun shells, an aluminum can. Aluminum is like gold. Aluminum and adhesive are the two things that I find myself very often in want of. Mole miner gauntlet. And we're over encumbered, so I'm going to start scouring around for a workbench. So there's diluted Rad-X, diluted stim packs, diluted Radaway. These are basically, they do what Rad-X, Radaway, and stim packs do. They just don't do quite as much of it. If you're a lower level, it is very much worth using the diluted versions. We got a key there, more miner suit scrap. And some sort of shaft to lower things, I'm guessing, into their mine. Duct tape, adhesive. I'm telling you that adhesive and aluminum. And looky what we found here. Our T-45 set. And oh yeah, we're taking that. Probably the first thing I'll take is the fusion core. But you also have to take the power armor bits out that you can't use. You won't be able to enter it until you take the things that are over your level out. Once you get those out, you can enter the chassis. You'll get the weight, the carry weight bonus. There you see I'm at 219 out of 205, so I still need to scrap some things. And conveniently, you can scrap anything at any workbench except for cooking. So we scrap all of our junk. Now we're going to go through weapons and armor. This gauntlet is nice, but I can't use it right now. We'll scrap the tomahawks. And I don't think I keep the gauntlet, but I do not want to scrap this T-45 gear. I thought I got rid of that gauntlet here. Maybe I saved it for a while. And there's my poor fella there without any of his clothes on for some reason. Every once in a while I would see that my friend got into a power armor chassis and he was just in it in his tighty whities. After a few moments his clothes came back. So I don't know what's going on with my Vault Boy model there, but so we're level 14 at the moment. I just noticed. Drink ourselves some boiled water, and if you are capped at well fed and well hydrated, I think you might get some bonus out of that. Okay, I do not need that burnt book or burnt textbook. And a lot of ammo, a lot of fusion cores. Well, not quite yet. We'll get more missiles, weigh quite a bit, 2 pounds each. So once you start collecting them, you're going to have to really think about, do I really want this? Do I really need this? Or is this something I can live without for right now? Okay. And there's the gauntlet. I'm going to scrap that now, I believe. Because what I want to do is fast travel back, get rid of the power armor, actual armor pieces, maybe even the chassis, dropping it off because it's 10 more pounds. And still part of that Fallout 4 in me remembering the map being in the Pip-Boy, not an external thing. And back to camp. And I won't cut the loading screens. I'll let you see how everything works. Because I figure if you want to see gameplay, you want to see not just the pretty, shiny stuff. You've seen that in almost everything. This is the nitty-gritty, the moment-to-moment Fallout 76. And if you enjoy the moment-to-moment Fallout 4, you'll be fine. As for playing with others around, I think I maybe had one interaction on this day of the beta. I was in a house filled with ghouls, and so were two other people, and we basically came around a corner at each other, and a guy hit me with a melee weapon, but you could tell he thought I was a ghoul. He didn't keep attacking, I didn't attack him back, we just went our own separate ways in peace. That is my general experience with the PvP. Your mileage, of course, will absolutely vary. And again, there are stashes throughout the world, but they aren't marked. Like, you need to find them. You're not going to be able to look at the map and go, there's a stash right there, until maybe you find it and maybe you remember. So there's a lot of jumping back and forth, especially when you're in near range of one of those stashes or your camp. You're going to want to be able to jump back, drop off your goods, and hopefully have some weight moving forward. Carry weight open in your inventory, that is. Scrap all of our junk. Try and store it again. We're down to 377. Gonna store as much as we can of the T45. And, you know, now we're getting into the, okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. What else don't I need? What else can I destroy so that I can store this T45 pieces? And, well, you can't scrap Molotovs, you can't scrap explosives that I've been able to figure out anyway. That would be the Tinker's Bench, I believe, but when you try and scrap them, we're about to scrap one of the power armor chassis, which is something you could not do, I don't believe, in Fallout 4. Scrapping a meat hook, this baseball bat, a syringer, okay, and apparel, power armor chassis. You get some good stuff for it. And storing all of our junk. The 50 caliber ball ammo is a bit heavier than the rest of the ammo. It might take me a while. Eventually I figure out how to store that. We need to make more room. I can't quite store this last piece of T45. Bourbon and buff out. That's 2.5 pounds of buff out right there, I believe. It's showing us a per piece weight, not the weight of 10. We can't scrap anything from aid or miscellaneous. Mainly you're going to scrap out of weapons, armor, and junk. Now I'm going to start just dropping things. I could go sell it, but then I'd have to travel there, travel back. It would actually cost me caps unless I wanted to just waste the actual real-life time doing it. So why am I just dropping it on the ground rather than selling it? That's why. You know, do I spend an hour, well, do I spend half an hour of my beta time just trying to find a kiosk or a Protectron that I can sell to? Or do I just drop it on the ground here and have more time to spend actually exploring the beta. Okay, and we get to store that last piece of T45. And now all I've got to do is figure out what I want to do with the chassis. As always, get out of your chassis, take the fusion core. In my experience, no one can take your power armor, but old habits die hard. You know, in the end, would you get out of your car and leave the keys in it? If the answer is no, if you get out of your power armor, take the fusion core. You never know when a bug will appear, just to be safe. Okay. And still looking at all of the things I have in here. I think I might be looking at taking out my chems to actually sell. But hard to say for sure. I may just be looking for space to store more things. Storage is key. It is going to be the driving factor for the most part of what you're doing. I have these mods. Not entirely sure if they're just to be used like a one-off thing. So they're stored at the moment until I figure out exactly. I mean, they feel like the pieces you, like when you modify something in Fallout 4, you get the piece that you took out and replaced. So it actually, I remembered that there was a kiosk very close to me that I could sell this stuff. Memory is an important thing, and mine is broken, so there you go. But here we've got a hospital right close by, a medical center, with a few scorched just hanging out. And a few meat piles, because someone has been through relatively recently. And, well, talk about your rubbernecking. This, of course, is a photo-worthy mood, moment, thing. It's a Kodak moment, folks. For those of you old enough to remember that. It's not very often when the guy laying on the ground is still 6 inches taller than you are. So you can control a bit of the lighting, which is nice. The photo mode is actually pretty cool. You can put frames and such. But anyway, back to the task at hand, which is selling off our chems. And what better place to sell them off than the medical center? So there are kiosks like this. They sell medical items and ammo. Find them at train stations and other places like this medical center. So I have 292 caps total at the moment. The bounty of caps that you lose when you are wanted, it can add up. So if you cause a lot of problems and you are constantly running around being wanted, being killed, being wanted, being killed, eventually it's going to cost you. What happens when you run out of all your money? I honestly don't know. Gonna fast travel up to another station because the kiosk there didn't have enough money to buy our things. So I remembered that Sutton here has a train station with not only kiosks out front, but a Protectron inside who operates as a sort of raider shopkeeper, if I recall correctly. Just mosey on down the tracks here. And there is another player. So it's really not any tension.
Note to the gourmands. Human flesh is not acceptable tender here.
So we're going to sell off what we can to this Protectron, at least so long as he has caps.
Stop up here before your next kill.
Sell off the booze
Previously
too.
owned loot for sale, mostly blood-free.
Okay, up to 399 caps, but we'll pick up some of his 45, drop ourselves back down to 369. Guitar sword. And there's our other player. That's an ammo kiosk right there. But ammo is not cheap. 39, 38 rounds, 117 caps.
Reminder, any attempted 5-finger discounts will be reclaimed and paid for with said fingers. At
Okay,
a hard
and
day of killing and looting. Don't want to haul it back yourself? Sell it here.
okay, so back. I'm trying to figure out if it's worth the 18 caps to travel. Again, it's a beta day, so looking to save time as opposed to caps. And here we are. When you first are back on the screen, you won't be able to move. You'll see things before you can do anything. It's a short period of time, at least it was for me. But it's disconcerting the first few times because you see everything, you're like, okay, let's go, and then nothing's moving. You're okay, everything's fine, just the game loading you back in. And there are many little nooks and crannies, of course, to explore. Some more worthwhile than others. My gear has protected me from lung disease. So you are able to travel here without your gas mask, but it looks like it could be a problem. I have occasionally picked up disease cures in the world. The most I think I've ever had at once was 4. And 2 of them I used rather quickly in succession. Not for the same disease, I just got hit by something twice relatively in a short amount of time. But I don't usually let any of the diseases stick around. The environments are pretty varied. You will find a lot of different ground to cover. There's a Mr. Handy out there. I think he's the equivalent of like a Radiant quest. Just kind of a random thing happening in the world. I'm not entirely sure though.
Please, anybody! Oh, thank heaven someone has come. I can feel something incredibly wrong in my circuits. I fear I'm about to explode. Please, you simply must assist in repairing me. It's vital to my continued functions.
Okay, so we can repair him. It's not really that much.
Much better. I think that did the trick. Thank you for fixing me up. Take this.
Robot armor custom fitted limb mod added. So, worth lending a helping hand from time to time. I just bumped something on my desk. Sorry if I made noise going into the microphone there. Hornwright Air Purifier Site number 2. Well, at least we're finding them sequentially. 308 rounds by 6, fragmentation grenade, a baseball grenade, some terminals that I'm not going to mess with, purified water that I absolutely will take. And off we go. Okay. Got some gunfire. And you hear that chirping sound? It's worth paying attention to it. Okay. Welcome to Lewisburg. And this is where we are following part of our Initiate of Mysteries quest line. I may cut it before we get to that actual thing, so I don't spoil that quest line for anyone. But remember that chirping I was talking about? I hear something moving. The Scorched will be still like the petrified corpses. So if you start to see things in a pose, just be advised. So we've got a level 6 Scorched officer here. And I really feel like that hit should have hit. Or that shot should have hit. But okay. I have no idea what this fellow is about. But look at what we found. It's a silo code. That chirping is warning you that something very, very interesting is close by. In this particular case, it was that silo code. And I think it was the first of 2 that I found on this day. A little bit of sneak attack damage there. If you follow me on my channel, I tend to sneak everywhere. Just a force of habit. But it does tend to give me that first shot sneak attack advantage. Another opposing Scorch. Some ammo .44 revolver. Here we're using our .45 pipe revolver. Got a 23 Scorched Zealot with a crown over the level. I haven't figured out if that would be what you'd call elite, or if it's just signifying that they have better loot. Sometimes they seem to have much better loot, sometimes it doesn't really seem all that impressive. Okay, we got a challenge complete. Also picked up some atoms, 8 shotgun shells, suppressed snappy pump action shotgun. Which might be my first suppressed weapon. Another posing Scorched. So if you are aware of them, you can get a good early hit on them. Just have to be careful. Even being close to these petrified corpses, they will disintegrate if you stick around them for too long, sometimes even just after you pass them, and you'll be irradiated when they disintegrate. I noticed that, I don't know if it was because I was getting farther out or because more people were in my particular server, every so often it would take the game a while to figure out what something's inventory was. I don't know what it was checking against, I don't know why it took so long. Sometimes it seemed that if you looked at it and it was giving you the spinning wheel and you looked away and then looked back, or looked at something else that might be a container and looked back, it might work a little better, but I could just be making incorrect correlations there. Man before machine. Every little place has its story. Here's a stash, so we can put some of the things we picked up away. Another
ammunition and other supplies available
Protectron
for all
vendor.
responders.
This time, instead of, like we saw the last one, was a Raider Protectron, this is a First Responder Protectron. And pick up that Wonder Glue because adhesive is beyond gold and platinum. This thing I like. I like suppressed weapons, part of that sneaking around all the time thing. So fixing that up will be one of my priorities. And again, just looking to free up inventory. And coming back to the stash to find out that I'm carrying 4 pounds extra and the stash only had 3 pounds of space. So again, it's back to what can I lose, what can I break, what don't I need. And I really need that shotgun, so I can't bear the fact of parting with it. And, you know, this too, it's very much a part of the game. What of these can I break? What of these can I lose? And it looks like this laser pistol loses. The machete loses. The over-encumbrance isn't terribly horrible. It's not going to break you as it does in Fallout 4. You can be considerably over-encumbered. It's not going to break your legs or do anything horrible to you, but it will eat those action points really fast. And that means that even when you're walking, like well, technically we're always running. But as we're always running, we're constantly losing action points, which can be a problem if you're in the middle of a fight. Okay, so we are just down to breaking things again. Maybe even a power chassis again. Power armor chassis. And looks like we've been at this for about an hour, so I will end this hour of gameplay here. If you've enjoyed it, if you'd like to see more, please do let me know in the comments. I have oodles of hours of this. If you'd like to see more, let me know, and I'll be happy to try and whip it up. The game itself releases in just a few days, I believe. And yeah. Let me know what you would like to see. Some people have said they would like to see a Let's Play. I don't know. I haven't seen many people say that, so I don't know if that's something that, well, is interesting to folks. If it is, let me know. If you'd like to have some questions answered, if you have questions about Fallout 76, please also let me know in the comments. I am more than happy to answer questions to the best of my ability. Some things I won't be able to answer until the game is live if it requires testing, but otherwise, I'll do my best. For the moment, I would like to say thank you for watching. I hope you found the video entertaining and maybe even just a little informative. I would like to invite you to subscribe. Thank you kindly if you are already subscribed. I'd also like to point out that if you look in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a small letter I with a white circle around it. These are cards. And, well, it's a drop-down menu to links to other videos that I've made. You may need to move your mouse or touch the screen to see it. Most of all, though, I would like to ask you to please, take care.